There's a really detailed article in Alternet by Alex Henderson about how debt collectors are thriving and abusing their power under Trump. They say, if there is any business sector in the United States that surpasses health insurance companies and megabanks when it comes to being corrupt, immoral, and unscrupulous, it is debt collection agencies. Debt collectors are not exempt from federal governance. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act of 1977 contains a long list of rules outlining what they legally can and cannot do. But FDCPA violations are rampant, and judging from the abundance of complaints the Federal Trade Commission and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau have been receiving, the debt collection industry is showing no signs of cleaning up its act. They continue here. The CFPB reported receiving almost 7,200 debt collector-related complaints in December 2016, an 11% increase from December 2015. The federal agency has been taking consumer complaints since 2011, and the category that has received the most complaints by far is debt collection. As of December 1st, 2016, the CFPB had handled approximately 285,000 debt collection-related complaints along the way. The common complaints include consumers being pursued for debts they no longer owed or never owed in the first place. The FTC was fairly aggressive about bringing unscrupulous debt collectors to justice during the Barack Obama era. Between 2010 and early 2015, the FTC filed lawsuits against 180 debt collectors and banned 63 of them from continuing operations. The FTC even publishes on its website a long list of debt collectors it has banned. But debt collection is big business. The Norfolk, Virginia-based Portfolio Recovery Associates, for example, reported total revenues of $881 million in 2014. Agencies typically purchase debts for pennies on the dollar, which can yield a sizable return on their investment if they collect. The potential of a huge ROI inspires many debt collection agencies to be as ruthless as possible. ROI is return on investment, by the way. And there are countless examples of the industry's corruption in recent years. A study conducted by the CFPB in 2014 and 2015 found that 59% of Americans contacted by debt collectors said it was for medical debt. In April of this year, the U.S. PIRG Education Fund released the report Medical Debt Malpractice, which reviewed 17,701 medical debt collection complaints the CFPB had received and found that nearly two-thirds, 63% of complaints about medical debt collection assert either that the debt was never owed in the first place, it was already paid or discharged in bankruptcy, or it was not verified as the consumer's debt. Okay, so let's boil this down to the three most important facts here. You have, well, I guess four. You have the debt collection agencies are thriving now more than ever. The common complaints include consumers being pursued for debts they no longer owed, that's the second fact, or never owed in the first place. That's the third fact. And then the fourth fact is 59% of Americans contacted by debt collectors said it was for medical debt. So the entire industry is a bullshit industry because they're going after people who already paid their debts, never owed debts in the first place. They just get names that are the similar names or the same name, but it's a different person, and they go after them ruthlessly. Or it's next of kin or something like that. I have a story about that with my father and debt collectors, basically. So they're going after people who are totally innocent, already paid the money, or don't owe the money at all. That's a gigantic portion of the industry. And the rest of it is, you have medical debt and we're going to shake you down. So this entire industry is a bogus industry. The entire industry is just a sham. It's just basically a semi-legal version of robbery and harassment. And they go on in the article. I had to cut her off because it goes on and on and on and on forever. I suggest you read the whole thing. But they go on about the practices that some of these agencies use. They'll call people 30 times a day, 40 times a day. You know, they'll get in contact with their neighbors to try to find a way to get in touch with them. They will, and a lot of these things that they're doing are illegal under that law that passed in 1977, but they do it anyway. And a lot of people don't know, what the law is, so they're under the assumption that even though this is basically harassment, that this is okay, and only a small percentage of the people being harassed by this unscrupulous industry are contacting the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and trying to get help. Man. But see, this is the point. The point is, this is what happens when you don't have regulation and enforcement of basic marketplace standards. This is the result. The result is, this is like some movie shit, we're going to harass you until you give us money even though you're not the right person or you already paid your debts or whatever the case is, or it's fucking medical debt. Right off the bat, 59% of the debt that these people try to collect over, it already shouldn't exist. It's fucking medical debt. Medical debt isn't a thing in Canada. It's not a thing in Australia. It's not a thing in Britain or Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, Finland. Every other modern nation, medical debt is not a thing. Here we have, not only do we have medical debt, it's one of the top causes of bankruptcy, and 59% of the dangerous, greedy, cheating debt collectors, that's 59% of their business. Look at this, man. Look at all the problems we have, and a lot of it stems from not having healthcare and not having universal healthcare, I should say, and not having basic marketplace regulation. So, look, know your rights, man. Know your rights. If they're harassing you, by the way, they're not allowed to call, I think, before 8 a.m. and after 9 p.m. That's another thing they'll do, even though they're not allowed to do it. It used to be under Obama, they shut down a bunch of them, but now under Trump, to the extent they're cracking down on these things at all, it's just, fines or something that they could pay, and then they keep functioning. So, just know your rights, know what recourse you have. Contact the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau if you're being harassed by one of these debt collection agencies, because I just explained to you how their entire business model is complete and utter bullshit. They're shaking down people who don't owe the debt. They're trying to get for medical debt. Look, I'm telling you, get in contact with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, know your rights, know what you're on the hook for, what you're not on the hook for. In most instances, you're not going to actually be legally required to pay it. It's a legalized thug industry is what this is.